beautiful map. Like we're going into summer now. Nobody wants to play on ICEBOX. It's like people having the Christmas skins, like the Blast X skins.
Yeah.
The present. Who uses that in like May? You're a psychopath if you have Christmas skins in May.
If you have the spirit, gifting, you know, good times.
I mean, we'll see.
Here.
So far, I've not seen it out with these guys. I think it was a Brazilian team that had them on. Like, I guess they're in the lower hemisphere, so it does make a bit more sense. But,
Right.
like,
Well, they don't
it's
know
gonna-
how snow looks like most of the time, do they?
That's also true. I mean, unless there's some part of the geography that snows in Brazil, I don't know. I mean, my habitat knowledge isn't very good when it comes to South America, as you can probably expect.
I think they have mountains, and I think there will be snow on mountains. This is my wild guess, but it seems like Beck, you started with a wild guess of you heading up, Nox, starting off well. Good information gained by the side of ALLTHERAGE. And as they're defending over here, it looks brilliant, swift, and fast. And what you always have to say here, Ryan, this has been the pick by the Lithuanians. Vic has voluntarily decided to start an attack. And considering what we saw, for example, with the MIA Challengers, it's not a bit of a surprise, is it?
I wouldn't say so. Maybe if it's just a case of get that tough side out of the way first. Composition is relatively aggressive, but it's the case for both sides. And Biggs executes, getting that early kill very quickly, starting those fights out, was moderately successful. It was actually one of the things that worked out really well for Big on Ascent, but is it going to be the same on ICEBOX with much deeper sight lines? Will ALLTHERAGE kind of learn from this and nip it in the bud? They're already 1-0 up. They've done a bit of damage before, but it's traded out in a 4v4.
Well, I see it this way, Ryan. Big is not a big fan of ICEBOX, well, ironically speaking with the name. And though they have a quite good successful raid on it, I doubt that they can make it work. At the same time, quite big damage dealt, considering the weaponry we're talking about. Aslan is just showing his shoulder. Am I getting a bullet in here? Yep, rather not peek again. But Opnox, as he's falling to the ground, single chance, no opportunities. ALLTHERAGE take the second. Looked like they might need to see the majority buying back into the next round, but that didn't happen. So all fine and dandy for the Lithuanians.
Yeah, it all worked out nicely. I mean, they took a couple of kills. It could have been a lot cleaner overall, but you're not going to complain. They didn't lose the round. That's probably the most important aspect of it, but the full buy is going to now come in from Big. They were a little bit slow to start in the last game map on Ascent. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about them just yet. I do think that these maps like ICEBOX and Split is probably where I'd be guessing Big look the worst. They're very Counter-Strike-y tactical shooter playstyle. So maps that are a little bit different might be a bit of a throw-off. I guess we'll have to see.
Well, there's an easy kind of equation I just put up. If you want to make Ryan happy, win a round, doesn't matter which way, and don't tuck him in with the gravity wall. That is the simple equation I've now learned. But we have no Astra, so that worry is not happening for now. But what seems to be a bit of a worry is the sight of V as the attack starts to strike. Jesus Christ.
He went down low. Managed to survive, though. They worked out that he was on that corner, and they could have done lethal damage to him if some more utility landed in the right spot. But look at ALLTHERAGE, sitting back, waiting for the spike to go down. It's going to be a tough old one. Bishop has to try and lead the line. Put the wall up, get the spike planted, try and farm up maybe some resurrects that might be needed. Not as many ultimates to rely on for Big to win out some of these rounds. They're going to go through. The wall is going to be chipped away and broken, but the spike goes down.
Bishop is just living on the edge, basically, but still not out. And as it looks like Big might be obliterated, ALLTHERAGE gotta make a retake work, and it will not be that easy. Seems like the whole of the Lithuanian side gonna make a wonder work. They would still have the door to know that they're all behind yellow. That would be very useful, but only one is actively holding. The strength is finding the first Opnox and Aslan fall. Same goes for Gop. Obviously, Alec has the lineup. Well, is anyone gonna body block it? That is the question. Seems like this is not happening for now. And FQ is faking it out. Man is vulnerable. Man is still trying to find a frac, and he does, but this will not be enough. And here comes around in favor of Big.
He chooses to survive as well. I got the operator, managed to dash out. I saw the ghost was in his hand, but I didn't realize he'd managed to get the up in the process. Still works out nicely for ALLTHERAGE. They can still afford it. It was just a bonus round, and they get a good idea on how big maybe we want to go for these executes. And Ultimate's not yet readily available. A Hunter's Fury not too far away for Destrian.
Same for Cop.
Yeah. Actually, Big aren't too far away from having a lot of Ultimates, to be fair. Viper's Pit for AlexMar might be dedicated if they can get that orb on B main, which is so difficult to get as a defender. Get the Viper's Pit up, make it a really difficult post plant for ALLTHERAGE. That's how I would do it personally, but we'll see who picks up the orb and which ult they want to get online first.
Yeah, Alex R, funny-wise, an individual that won his first prize money in esports when he was 15 years old, playing 1v1s. Seems like that skill might pay off in Valorant. Suddenly we have two Viper walls, and well, you wouldn't look for something like that. They're pretty much cutting them off both. One obviously the attack one the defender one. If you don't know which one is which, use your creativity. Easy to figure out. And now let's see what both Vipers got up. This wall, as well as the screen is coming in, that spike's going down either way. Oh no!
Oh!
This is good!
The decay works out nicely. And this wall is pretty good from the defenders to actually use it and try and isolate some of these fights overall. Mostly to try and take that no man's land space. They're going to put up that wall now to try and push up again. It is used and a lot of information is gathered. They can burst through this Viper wall, close the distance, but Big have a good idea on where it is. They're winning out necessarily duels. And this is actually a really tough retake now for ALLTHERAGE. Still doable, especially after Destrian gets a lot of damage in. Now it's just the one player that AlexR is holding down. The defuse is being stuck. And AlexR needs to try and get this kill. There's not much that he can do overall. Oh. It's a weird fight from AlexR to be caught. Not even fighting for the objective, but fighting against Kriagon. Yeah. A really weird engagement that ALLTHERAGE went out. Maybe they should have.
And, you know, this leaves a lot of questions to me because will Big still take the same direction? You have that poison orb in combination with that snake bite over on your most default position with your wall being put up. You still try to do the same thing? Because I doubt you will do the same kind of plant position again when that Viper's Pit is that snake bite is immediately eliminating you with the DK.
And they have the Viper's Pit now. They have a lot of ultimates on the attack, but the money is not stellar. They have to actually fully save up for this round as the Bladestorm is going to be leading the line. Get a pick up some of these bigger rifles that ALLTHERAGE are working with. I can't. Remass, they're ready and waiting. This Viper utility from Magician has been magical. It's really stopped Big from making any headway. Even if the spike goes down, not likely to this time. ALLTHERAGE making a quick job of it.
It seems at that point that Big is still looking for that remedy right here. They're missing it. That those B-side attacks with that one wall, yeah, they can be nice and great, but once your opponent starts to realize that we can easily counter that, and we practice this, considering they're a mixed team, right? So the individuals know what they need to do with what agent. I start to feel the slightest bit of worry for the German squad.
Yeah, let's see how they respond at this point. ALLTHERAGE buffering that lead early on their defense, much like they did on Ascent. I like this early aggressive overall. We miss Kriagon getting that first initial kill, but we do see ALLTHERAGE actually backing out just a little bit more. They get that first kill, they don't need to overextend. They know that there's going to be more pressure coming in from Big. They don't want to get traded out if they can afford to. It also dedicates utility. The Resurrect, the Owl Drone, all going to be caught out, and VQ immediately returns to favor and brings Big back to ball.
What a horrible scenario when you're the medic, and once you revive the first, the other one's falling on the other side. It's just getting worse for Big, and as they change pace and direction towards the A side, they seemingly stroll towards it, because I can see the march. They come on it with full force. Aslan eliminated. Pupsil's trying to strike, and he definitely finds the double. The failures are coming in. Are you finally hitting your shot, Magicians? He does. The drop is on it. And the good old IGL from the German side, the man who's played on majors and on the big stage. Surely he has the nerves of steel. This doesn't change the matter of fact that he's only down to 85. He fights against one of the best Lithuanians, but he finds it. Bob's taking it home. Good old Fatih is bringing on the second. Big.
that was a much better clutch attempt that we saw on Ascent. Just a smart idea to jump on top of the wall. Clearly we saw Magician not expecting him in that spot. Right in the wrongs, I suppose, of the team on a pretty messy execute. Godby just was needed for the fight. Quick on the feet thinking from the old dog himself, and it really goes to show that maybe he was a bit slow to start with Valorant, but a mind like his might be pivotal for how Big does in the future overall, and a pivotal round for them to win in a clutch like that.
Specifically, God, at the beginning, I had my doubts if it was just not somewhat of a marketing move from them to that degree, getting someone like Big and Zonix in there. A pretty old lads, don't get me wrong, experienced, nevertheless. But I think they have developed in a good direction. Still, I think they're behind the meta in most cases. You saw it very often that they still play agents that are outdated to some degree. Well, they have the Viper on their side. That could make work. At the same time, the Lithuanian Viper is knocking on the back door.
They are very much in a tight spot now. They actually do find the duel where Dreamass is just looking the other direction, and now Big have managed to turn this back into a 3 versus 3. Magician, though, has sort of revealed himself. Houdini's caught himself out for his next trick. He brings out the Viper's Pit. It's not needed, though. Kriegon just flies in, gets the quick 3K. And even though Big lost out very early on in that round, they did well to make it somewhat closer.
And, you know, one thing we haven't mentioned yet, besides thinking, are Insane Observers, which is Self, obviously, Melanie, and nobody else. And Onsvar, the most difficult name of the 3. I'll take it. I tried my best. I hope I said it.
You know I like the Observers when I'm not afraid to make fun of them for missing stuff or replays that don't go anywhere. I do that a lot to Luke, to be fair. Wouldn't do that on an actual broadcast, but you know.
Yeah, well,
bit of ribbing. They don't miss those though.
No, they don't. Thank you, Tilf. Appreciate it to see that death off. A big, considering the situation they're in, it's still a lot of room obtained. And, you know, now taking a few more frags, decimating the strength of all the raid. I'd like to see it from an economic point of view. That would look dreadful for the lift. But Spike down, extra money, and Alex is going on.
They're having to hold back a little bit. They get in behind the lid that's thrown out from Kriegon, and the defuse is going to get dedicated to. This is the kind of thing that I remember saying about Aslan when he was going on the mad flank, but it doesn't really seem that Alexar is attempting a mad flank. Instead, he's just scarpering. He's just running away. He's picked up a gun. He's managed to save it. Now another full buy coming through. All the rage looking much more coherent on this defense. They're shutting down the space very well. But Big, full buy, 5 ultimates. They've got to do something with that.
And this is where I start to see the situation where Big might be pulverized due to the fact when we, for example, recap how EMEA Challengers paid off, or more likely has been played, it was the matter of fact that this was where we saw ICEBOX being like 60-40 on the attacker side. And at that point in time, they haven't really pressed that pedal to the metal. I'm still missing to see that. Kriegon in the meantime, yep, he's exactly doing that. Left lane, full speed. Big, we're having a man advantage. That's it.
Godby scrambling to find a duel to take a fight to see what he can get. Make all the rage sweat a little bit more, but their adjustment on the defense, yeah, like they've given a lot of space and respect to Big. But are they going to expect Obnox to be this deep that he's pretty much underneath where Kriegon's playing from? The res is necessary, it brings it back to a 5 versus 4 for all the rage. That's why they were playing so passively. The Empress actually runs out just at the nick of time for Kriegon to take that first pick.
This is a lot of room Obnox has obtained. This was really making the change of even making it possible. Seems like he's still playing aim lap in Valorant. Obnox is going on. The man's on a streak, and not to be stopped for now. It seems like Big have it all under control, but it's still Feki who's alive. Don't rule out the operator in the end of the Lithuanian. The former Vitality player still got it. You don't need to worry about that. The clock is working against him. He can find as many frags as he wants to. The clock's still on and on and on. Time's passing. A third is secured by Big. And Obnox is an absolute game changer.
needed to show up then to keep Big still in this series. Just doesn't need the Empress overall, was holding his angle for the longest time, flicks it up to take down the layer and connects onto Kriegel quickly. And then we see ALLTHERAGE one by one making their way through. There's still ultimates to be used. It was only the Empress that was dedicated for Big. However, for ALLTHERAGE, we saw that res brought in to make it a 5 versus 4 in a fight that they still lost. They can still afford a full buy, but half armor and 0 credits for some players means that if Big pick up this one, they should be able to pick up the next to make it 5-6.
And you know, they got more than one lifeline regarding this, Ryan. A quick look at the ults. They got all the good ones. I mean, Sage is not an active one, sure, but still can bring you back. Could allow you more risks. Talking about that, Aslan with a lot of confidence in taking the next fight, it seems like.
Kriegel holding a close angle, has to give away his position as the Bladestorm is going to try and go in there. Whilst he misses the shots onto Aslan, he catches Obnox in the background. A Resurrect's brought in, he wants to try to steal the gun now that the Bladestorm's being used up. But BQ being able to do more damage in, Guppy is finally giving a gun to Aslan, although he probably didn't want it to go that way. Now the operator taken out with the Sever, at least for now. It's a 3v4 for Big, moves over towards the B site from the looks.
A pretty prime example why Aslan wanted to steal the weapon off his revived teammate.
No charge.
They're making a move right now. Changing direction, B site. Seems to be their new goal, but they have a lot of room to play with, and as Pedestrian is the only one who's trying to get a bit of information, that this direction is clear. Going to the B site, they have to get ready to hold them up and guard the bomb.
They're actually finding all of these players from ALLTHERAGE that are posted around trying to catch them as they make their way through. Information's gathered, but all of the frags are going towards Big. Bishop comes out massively, and Big, the early engagement, the rotate, the fact that they were winning some of those duels, ALLTHERAGE, look at the positioning when it starts to move away. Yeah, Aslan just can't pick up the gun in time. I thought it was going to be a replay of like the action, but no, we can just sort of do Big Dirty a little bit there, I guess.
It looked like psych. Ha! You're coming back, but I'm taking a rifle, fool. But oh well, unlucky for him. But at the end, he still got a rifle. So it's nice to see that Big seemed somewhat revitalized. I have to be honest with you. It seemed at the beginning for rounds they can't work with anything, and every single time they try to invade a side and charge on it, they're falling short because ALLTHERAGE have a perfect defense on the B side. But at the same time, for me, Ryan, it seems like they stopped the direction of immediately moving to B. And this is something very nice and enjoyable because it is just ALLTHERAGE being prepared for that one.
Yeah, a bit of a technical pause as we sort of get back into this one. And Big overall are actually finding a lot of success in the mid rounds and the clutch outs more than we've ever seen in the past. It's much more of a confident looking team, and everybody's sort of firing all the shots. Even Gobby's having his moments. And ALLTHERAGE are also taking early engagements. It's the Guardian that opens up the first kill, and this sort of half by thrifty round-esque from ALLTHERAGE is working out nicely as they break Big down into 2 players in 20 seconds.
What a hefty play by them, but it's not done yet. Alex and Gob, the 2 most experienced players on the roster, both former CS individuals, which now try to turn this one around. And Alex, specifically with his ult, would have a very good time of taking the room. Gob eliminating Destrin. And if you want the A site, put that thing down. If he'll do so, that's the better question. He has so much information. He hears so many steps, and he's the last one standing. Finds Streamus, and he's still not putting it up. Finally, the pit is coming.
Is he going to expect that pinch behind him, though? Kriegel has taken up a lot of space. He's making his way very quickly. He's actually moved all the way into the pit. And Alex, a bit frazzled, doesn't expect Magician to just be on the high ground with a Sheriff, and the ultimate, the clutch out, doesn't work that well. But respect for ALLTHERAGE to just getting in around where Big are playing, behind the A site, knowing it's not going to be a rotation. And just the speed that Kriegel moves to attack as that Viper's Pit comes up. Really well played on the defense.
Crazy that his Viper's Pit was not going that far. It seemed like the Viper's Pit must get him at least a little further than that, but at the end of the day, it's not working. And I'm genuinely surprised. I have to be honest with you. I'm surprised. But other than that, 8th round for All the Rage. And then switching sides, that could work quite well for them.
Oh, look at his early aggression again now for All the Rage. They've had a lot of success with it over on A. Big are actually going in a different direction. How much are All the Rage going to push this before they turn around and go, okay, they're not here, we need to move somewhere else and prep? Whilst the Hunter's Fury doesn't really get all that much, Trigon's still continuing to push.
Seems like Deathstrand had the same thought, but obviously getting punished for it. And it's only McGinnis. Always messing that name up, but either way, he's trying to hold on B, has been falling down. Creon still making it man equalized, and this leaves us with a B side open. No Viper on each side, so neither the plant nor the defuse are going to be massively delayed. He's still swinging wide and has taken the star player Aslan. Only Bishop to make a change, and the man definitely has a lot of information, but unfortunately, he's looking too deep in the eye. 8-1 belongs to All the Range. Unnecessarily rife, but still, it's going to work quite well. And now swapping to the attackers is going to be the...
Yeah, 4 rounds for Big on the attack isn't necessarily a bad look overall. All the Rage, they picked this map, they look the most dominant on it at least. But how are they going to fare on the attack? How are Big actually going to play around the map? Are they going to do it in an aggressive way that All the Rage were doing it certainly towards the A site? Or are they going to do something a bit more passive? Big are 1-0 up. If they can win ICEBOX, they go through to the semis and All the Rage are eliminated. No double elim, just all single elim. Your typical European tournament, I suppose, with the single elimination playoffs all in one day. So you don't need to wait for tomorrow or a week for the finals and stuff. Just a nice chill day of Valorant whilst there's not much going on at the moment. I do think the big pistol round is going to be a big necessity on this defense. They're going to start off with a bit of a mid push.
Bishop is holding them up massively. It seemed like they knew the direction. None of those walls. None. It seemed like they were all shooting at a different one. And suddenly, nothing is getting destroyed. But here comes a wall. And it could be starting good. Bishop, the only one guarding the side, as he's trying to uphold his opponents. Is this all a big fake or not? Because Big, as you mentioned, out of mid-control.
4 players there, almost. It's whether they take these chances to peak and what they're going to do off of that. All the Rage now have that information that there is a bit of a stack from Big playing in towards mid. Look at this pressure that's actually been made up towards B main. Kriagon actually slips by onto Bishop, gets that early kill. It's an opening for All the Rage to make their way onto the B site. They need to shut down Kriagon, who's continuing to push.
They had their eyes on mid, but all the action came down to the B site. Alex at least is capitalizing on one, and Sane seems to go for off-knocks. He's not capable of capitalizing on it. This leaves it to Alex, the man who's so strong and so capable of playing that Viper correctly. Knows that the one might be directly behind Yellow, tries to take out one, but Alex remains chanceless. As Deathstrand takes the wide swing, the lift wing in sight, get the momentum for themselves. They get that pistol round, and their map pick looks clean so far.
Said it was an important round for Big to try and win, and I still feel that that could bite them in the backside and take us to that third map of split overall. Kriagon, very aggressive on the defense, like to push. On the attack, it's more of the same and it works out beautifully. A lot of pressure, a lot of stuff going on into mid. Kriagon just slips by onto B main, catches an unexpected Bishop, provides the opening that All the Rage need for a site. Big need to win those fights out, catch All the Rage by surprise, because if they give up their information game early, All the Rage are good enough to punish that.
True. Getting distracted of what's happening. Mid-control once more here for Big. And Spike surely goes down, but the rest of the story has not been told.
But these big players go down on the site. I was hoping that maybe after they get that first kill and make it a 5 versus 4, that we might see those big players on the site move back and give a bit more respect to All the Rage. A pistol, a better gun at least has been picked up by Big, but there's still a lot of players on pistols, on ghosts at most. That Bulldog is going to be the opening. Godby can't do much with it, but it provides off-knocks a way in. The recon dart is going to give up that position. And All the Rage do a nice job to make sure that this doesn't get too silly.
As Aslan is showing us Saturday night dance moves. That's all for him. Trying his best to avoid it, but ALLTHERAGE seem to be just on the fast lane to victory. I doubt that there's going to be too much, as it seems like this mixed team is just salient on this map. And as this is a kind of A+ play they're delivering, it's bitter for Big, but at the same time, it's just not their home ground. My big worry, though, starts when we're talking about Split. That's in the future, but that's what could come next.
There's so much experience that's been gathered over the past 6 months, even from ALLTHERAGE. And that pool, I feel, is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty flexible overall. And so far, it's working out nicely. At least Big in this first full buy, bring it to a 4 versus 4. The Bladestorm for VQ is the ultimate that is out. He knows, or maybe expects Obnox to run around this corner, but Magician wins out that duel nicely. All of this kitchen space has been taken. Bishop looks away at the worst possible time, gets punished for it.
Last player standing.
And there you see it, Destrin taking on Aslan at least, and poor Alex, who has the toy gun. I really have to say, right, I never liked those toy gun skins. I'll be honest with you. I had a lot of Nerf guns as a child, but this ain't it.
You know, I like how ALLTHERAGE is playing this map overall. It's been
just like a toy gun.
It's been convincing, yeah. Maybe not as convincing as a Nerf gun is to a real gun, but
you think so?
What do you mean? Like, what kind of like rifle looks like? Anyway, I think 13-4 could be on the cards for Big here if they don't get their act together. Like, I think 8-4 at halftime is fine, but 3 rounds now for ALLTHERAGE, 5 in a row total. It's meant that they started to run away with this one, as a buy isn't really affordable for Big. The defense has been struggling. And this early pressure that's coming from ALLTHERAGE to push away Big from these angles has scared them. The Bladestorm has actually come out over from the jet of Aslan.
Oh, that's brilliant. Alex is taking the head off Korean. New haircut for him. Every time I hear the Watchmans, I have to think of Wardell saying it. But right now, it's the aim of Wardell getting down on Alex. Insane stuff he's delivering. Big is not done. Surely they're looking like they were down in the dirt, but the story still has to be told. Great awareness coming in from ALLTHERAGE. They have to take out a good bunch of Germans, including a Swede, and are still here to fight.
Spike hasn't gone down. I don't know why Big are trying to rush this. It's going well. So much utility has been thrown around rather haphazardly.
What?
It's flawless. It's thrifty. It's great for Big to turn that around. And that came out of nowhere.
I mean, look at that. This is where you start to have those flashbacks from CS. Alex has done this with the Deagle in the past. That crucial double he's getting. And that's wonderful. I mean, I'm impressed at that point that Big still fight back that massively, considering what kind of buy they had and what scenario they were. At the same time, ALLTHERAGE, so much wiggle room at this point.
See if they can keep this form going up. Aslan now having the operator is actually going to use this chance to play very far forward. The recon that is killed by a teammate, thankfully, otherwise that position would be given up. He's still doubling down on it though, which I don't like, especially with this Eldron coming through. He's trying to peek some of these angles, get another one, and he's not giving up on this area. He's really making ALLTHERAGE pay for it, and he does so with another kill.
He is definitely not done. They're like, yeah, we just fooled around. Now it's time to get serious. And I'm missing the kind of aggression we saw in the past. ALLTHERAGE at this point in time try to show us a tendency that they'll take kitchen, or more likely underneath barrel, and taking that back underneath tunnel, making that move. Now they're moving up kitchen, but does not stand a chance. Mike's going down. That's nice and great, but if that's going to be a game changer, I have my doubts.
How are they going to deal with this Viper's Pit overall? They actually move away from it to a point where they give it up. They actually go for this flank fight against Obnox. This Viper's Pit should go down. Like, that's a really weird play overall from ALLTHERAGE. They put down the Viper's Pit. They maybe try to go on a mad flank to catch people out. Doesn't work well. Obnox is in the right place at the right time, and he makes it 11-6. Good round again from Big, but I'm not a fan of that ult play from Cream.
Understandably, it felt a little off. And then you need to ask yourself again, why and how, and was it really mandatory? Either way.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a big fan, as they've now looked a bit more competitive, at least overall. Alex are going to be using the Viper's pick stealth overall. And I wonder if ALLTHERAGE are going to be ballsy enough to push it.
Remus, come on, we gotta hit those. Bishop is dodging the bullets quite brilliantly. Could have been an easy entry, and it gets complicated, it gets problematic. Aslan is capitalizing on the room that his teammate has just gained. And again, the rifles are out. They're trying their best to make a change, but it's still Big delivered a decent fight. They're not done. It is the move onto the B side.
Yeah, Big have found their feet. The B execute even is going to come through as the Viper Wall's put up in an aggressive spot. Spike isn't going to get dedicated at all, actually. They tried to push and catch a kill. Maybe a complacent Big just sitting, waiting passively for that Spike to come down, but it doesn't. Now another 2 versus 5. Look how low health EQ is, but he's in a position that maybe Big aren't expecting him to be in.
He's trying his best, but that is not going according to a little bit of a meager second part of the second half from the Lithuanians. After they got the 11th, it looked like they might be just able to close the chapter. And then we suddenly saw, hold on, what is this thrifty buy and even a thrifty flawless from Big? At that point, it felt like they got their momentum. They got their confidence back. It's wonderful to watch for me. At the same time, at what point is it getting into the head of ALLTHERAGE?
Well, I mean, they've had the operator now for a couple of rounds at least, and that seems to be their win condition a lot. Iceland, I think, top frags for them. The Ascend map that we saw. Destrian could get that first opening. There's no Resurrect available for Big, and even if, well, there is, but it was the player with the Resurrect that was killed, so that's not going to be any use. And ALLTHERAGE actually have a lot of ultimates to try and snowball this round. They only need 2 more to take us to a 3rd map. And they are one step closer to putting us onto match point. And more so now as Krieg on with the Sheriff. That kill and opening onto Aslan as the B site comes through.
Yeah, seems like they want to let them call their own medicine. Big stuff coming in right here. Ironic with the name, that's for sure. But Remus, as well as Magicians, are finding frag after frag. Big only got the big brain left. IGL got beat. Main's over on the A site. Carries the rifle through. I mean, the thing is, they still got a lot of money left for it. That's not going to be the issue. They still got the big bucks to make it work. At the same time, the next round is the one where it's going to be decided.
I don't think it's too important to try and save the gun overall, because Big have won these last 3 rounds. It overall means that they're at least comfortable if they're going to match point. So I'm interested why they've not just kind of gone to do a bit more economy damage to ALLTHERAGE, who it says they did it on a thrifty, but I don't necessarily think that's the case overall.
Right.
But Krieg on, like, they've given the operator over to FQ that was dropped from Aslan. He could buy another one. I guess that was one of the main things. If it was Aslan that was surviving, maybe he just kept the op, I don't know. In any case, ALLTHERAGE now on match point, 12-7. And Big still need to win 5 more rounds in order to bring it to overtime. It's a long road ahead, and ALLTHERAGE looking to take us to split.
And superficially looking on it, Opnox has been pretty much out of the game. We have been right now playing 19 rounds. Man got only 6 kills. And that's very unusual. Surprisingly afraid, Reyna, you could say. But they're still on it. Bishop, talking about the Reyna. Finds it. One. Creon out of the equation.
These B executes have been moderately successful for ALLTHERAGE for the most part. Are they going to actually expect the Viper over sort of behind? Well, the utility's now going to start flying through to delay the spike going down. The rotate is allowed it. A lot of space given up though for Big. But the rotate might go over to A at this point because they've struggled to really actually slip in onto the site. The spike is in a nice position, but to see if they can get that kill over to that player on Snowman. They know that Alexar's over there. The shock dart doesn't connect, but Alexar does onto Dreamas. The spike is in a terrible position now for All the Rage.
FQ's just hoping for a single overpeak at that point. But the wall is definitely not making it any easier. Upnox is knocking on the door, and as the knock-knock is going to be heard loudly, all his teammates are already
Player
hard.
standing.
Only leaving that big yellow box and container. Upnox is finding the kill when needed. It is only 12-8. It is a margin that looks massive, but it is in reality fairly small. Once the momentum shifts, it's all going overtime for Big.
Money is okay for this time, at least for All the Rage. Might have to save if we see Big go up to 9. Alexar Bishop showing it when necessary as well. In fact, the kills aren't being too badly spread across Big overall. It's only Obnox that is starting to lure behind the rest of his team and everybody else at the server, in fact, on the Reyna. Not necessarily the best sign. Kriagon has been great, however. Really taking that space, being aggressive. Big have been conditioned to be playing much more passive. They went for this mid push. They did this on the pistol. Alexar finds another crucial first blood.
He's been an absolute beast on the B side so far. The last few rounds, the frags he obtained, the one who initiated the circus of that 50 round, insane stuff he has delivered. And Honk, player Destrian, is now asking his team, do you want to change pace? Do you want me to go? And Aslan is just ready for the shoulder. He saw it. He's taking him out. All the rage down to 3, and it's not getting easier at all, Ryan.
All of that damage coming in to make sure that that wall can't stay up for much longer. Recon Dart narrowly misses onto Dreamas. Viper's Pit is going to be dedicated on the attack. This time they're not going to try a TQ play running out of it. Move their way in. A big round for Big to try and take the retake. They have the numbers advantage. There is a Resurrect, there is a Blade Storm. And the kills come in nicely. That was actually thick and fast for Big. I was a little bit worried with how patient they were being, but they snapped him when necessary, and they make things close. All the Rage, I think, have the eco.
And the worst part of it is that Big will be buying again and again. When you are losing those rounds, but you deal major damage, then you can always live with the hope, like, they have to revive. They might just have a Sheriff. They might just have a Bulldog.
Player standing.
But Big is just doing somewhat of a Warren Buffett cosplay, and they rack up those dollar bills. It's amazing stuff they deliver right here.
They're really fighting back more than I've ever seen them in the past. They've looked good in, you know, regional tournaments for the DAC region, but something like Lithuania for All the Rage and these kind of players, it's a usual step above the talent that we see them succeed against. Just All the Rage are on match point. Big have been doing really well to keep this moderately close. The buy actually still available for some members of All the Rage. It might catch off players like Bishop. That's a Resurrect that's not going to be used or available, and Aslan misses a key impact shot and gets taken out in the process.
And suddenly, when it is nobody else, then Big losing those duels in mid, and it is the pace being changed. Alex still would have his full. Gets the first, the patience is on him. Patience pays off. He gets the double, but still put his ult down. And this would bring the 10th round. He definitely is doing that. The pit is going to come in, and he has not been officially spotted. The bullets have been hurt, that is for sure. And the poison arc doors in. He's gotta stick it. No worry. Somebody has to ping it. Somebody has to ping it. Alex is sticking. But it's too long. No way. 39, and it's being won in such a fashion.